When a school fails to keep a kid safe, is that just a mistake? Or is it something a little more sinister? We're going to dig into the critical legal line between an accident and a conscious choice. And believe me, it's a line that once it's crossed, changes absolutely everything. To really get this, we've got to look at a real-world story. A story that was 100% preventable. And the question at the very heart of it is this: was this whole thing a tragic mistake? Or was it a tragedy born from a deliberate choice? Okay, so here's where it all begins. A ninth grader is in the school bathroom and another student confronts him, pulls out a knife and says, "I'm going to hurt you." I mean, it just doesn't get more direct or terrifying than that, right? So the kid, he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He tells his parent. And the parent, they do the exact right thing too. They immediately fire off an email to the principal with every single detail. So right there, at that moment, the school is officially on notice. They know it's in writing. And the principal writes back with that classic line, right? "We take all threats seriously and will investigate." But then, crickets. Nothing. A whole week goes by, no update. The parent has to email again, and what do they hear? Oh, the other student said he didn't have a knife. So, case closed. Just like that. And then, just a couple of weeks later, that initial threat becomes a brutal reality. The student gets cornered in the very same bathroom by the very same aggressor, and he's stabbed. Stabbed. It causes permanent nerve damage. So here's the million-dollar question. Is the school just on the hook for making a mistake, or is this something much, much worse?
To answer that, we have to talk about this crucial legal line in the sand. It's the difference between negligence and gross negligence. And honestly, this distinction is the whole ballgame.
All right, let's break this down real simple. On one side, you've got negligence. Just think of it like a mistake, an accident, a real oops moment where someone wasn't being careful enough. But then, on the other side, you've got gross negligence. And that's no mistake. That is a choice. It's a conscious, reckless disregard for someone's safety. And look at how this plays out. With simple negligence, the mindset is just an oversight, right? The school should have known better. But with gross negligence, the mindset is totally different. It's a don't care attitude. The school actually knew. You see the difference? They didn't just fail to notice the risk. They saw it plain as day and chose to look the other way.
So, okay, how in the world do you prove that? How do you show that the school was consciously indifferent? Well, let's jump back into our story and see how it's done.
Man, this timeline is just devastating. I mean, look at this. Week after week, the parent is doing everything right. They're escalating their concerns, they're reporting the threat, they're asking for a safety plan, and week after week, the school does nothing. And that inaction, it creates this clear, documented path that leads straight to the stabbing. It's all right there. And then you find it, the smoking gun. During the lawsuit, a text message pops up between the assistant principal and the school resource officer. And what the officer says? Wow. It says it all. It's just easier to just keep an eye on the situation. Easier? Why? Because finding the knife meant they'd have to deal with an expulsion. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. It was a choice. They chose convenience over a child's safety. And this is exactly how you build that case. This is how you prove the school's state of mind. You've got the parents' emails to prove they had notice. You pull other incident reports to show, hey, there's a pattern of danger here. You dig up those internal texts and emails that show they knew exactly what was going on. You point to their own safety policies that they completely ignored. You put it all together to prove they deliberately chose to do nothing.
So, why is this so important? Why does proving this one distinction matter so much?
Well, because when you can prove gross negligence, the consequences for that school, for that institution, they become huge.
First off, it pierces what's called governmental immunity. That's basically a legal shield that often protects public schools from big lawsuits when it's just simple negligence. But with gross negligence, that shield shatters. Second, it opens the door for something called punitive damages. We're talking big money designed to punish the school. And third, and this is a big one, it can actually make individual administrators personally liable for their decisions.
Yeah, let's talk about those punitive damages for a second. This isn't just about paying the victim for their medical bills. No, this is about sending a powerful message. The financial hit is designed to be so severe that it punishes the school for being so reckless. And just as important, it's meant to scare them and other schools from ever making that same terrible choice again.
Okay, so let's say, God forbid, you find yourself in a situation like this. What can you actually do? Well, this brings us to your toolkit, a clear, step-by-step protocol for documenting a case for gross negligence.
All right, there are 5 critical steps you need to take.
Step 1. Document every single warning you give them and do it in writing. Step 2. Use public records requests, you have a right to this, to get their internal emails and texts. Step 3. Demand to see other incident reports to show there's a pattern of failure. Step 4. Find their own safety handbooks, their own policies, and show exactly where they broke their own rules. And finally, Step 5. You put it all together to prove their motivation wasn't about keeping kids safe, it was about avoiding a hassle.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. It's the difference between a school saying, we made a mistake, and the far more chilling reality of, we knew a child could get hurt, and we chose to do nothing. And you know, this isn't just about one school or one terrible incident. It forces all of us to ask a much bigger question. How many of our institutions are just making the easier choice instead of the right one?